Okay, you guys, welcome to our Thursday night rockin' call. We are so excited because we have a special guest on tonight. This is somebody that I don't know how she fell through the cracks, but she's never been on one of our calls before. And she has been an ambassador for 3 years. She's a senior Ruby ambassador. So how you got by not being on a call, I have no idea. We are fixing that tonight. And this is Kelly Schadewaldald.
Hello.
And Kelly she's a total rock star. And she's going to give us some business building tips tonight. So you guys make sure you take some great notes. And after the call, I will post in the Rockin' Group, and you guys can share all your notes in the Rockin' Group for all of your teams to see, so that we can make sure that we get the word out there, that people know that these calls are really great, and that the guests that we have on here really help with our businesses. So that's what we're going to do. I already have 2 guests on next week that have agreed to be on the call, and they are amazing. It's an amazing couple. You guys will not want to miss next week's call. And then after that, I have a really, really great announcement, but I can't share that until August 1st. So we are going to get started. Kelly, can you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
A little bit about me. Well, this year I'm going to be the big 5-0 in September. And, you know, I thought back in the day, you know what, when I was growing up, I used to think that 35 was so old. Because I remember somebody saying, like, how old are your parents? I'm like, oh my gosh, they're 35. 35 is not old. 50 is not old. So I'm going to be the big 50 this year. I have 7 kids. They are 30, oh Lord help me, 30, 22, 21, 19, 16, 15, 14. And I'm a grandma to my little boyfriend. He, Bryce Allen, and he is going to be 2 the day before my birthday. I've been married 3 times, you know. So I used to be a foster parent. Loved being foster parent. A lot of work. I had 9 kids in the house at one time, and it was very overwhelming, but it was good. So that's about me.
Where do you live?
I live in New Baltimore in Michigan. Actually, we just put our house up for sale on Sunday. We've been here. We built our home 13 years ago, and I've been trying to pack the house for the past 3 days with no air. Our air went out on Sunday, so it's been quite a task. But yeah,
Not a good time for your air to go out.
Oh my gosh, no! It's been so hot and humid.
So a lot of you guys know that this past November that you may not know that she's on Kelly's team, but one of Kelly's team members won the drawing, or not the drawing, but the most ambassadors in 1 month, Crystal Thornton, who made
go Crystal.
And she won for me to come to Michigan and do some meetings with her. And I went there in March. Was it March?
I think it was. Actually, I think it was March.
I went there in March, and we had the best time. And, really wasn't expecting to have that much fun in Michigan. But it was a blast. And I met the sweetest, greatest people from, people that I already knew. Amy Molesky, who's an Emerald, who's 2 levels above Kelly. Mm-hmm. And her sister is your sponsor, right?
Yeah.
And so from spending time with Amy to Sandra and Kelly and Taryn and Sharia and Crystal and so many people that are on your team, you just have an amazing team. And I was so excited that I was able to go there and spend time with you guys. And so I want to ask you, first of all, if you can just share a few minutes of your product testimony, because you've been with Plexus for 3 years. So obviously it's a good product testimony.
Yeah. I just want to touch back on what you said. It really was a great time. We learned so much from you. You were a topic of conversation for quite a while after you left. And I really do have an amazing, amazing team. I know that I would not be where I am today if it was not for my team. props out to every single one of them. There's so many rock stars. There's not just one. It's a whole team, and everything that we do. We have an amazing team. We've built some really, really great relationships. So I love my team. So okay, so product testimony. Oh my gosh. Well, you know, I love to give this testimony, and here's why. It's because it's so different from everybody else's. When I'm very transparent, so, and I probably don't use the best verbiage. I use poop instead of eliminate, so if I can remember to use the word eliminate, I will. But when I first started Plexus, I've always suffered with an eating disorder. Just doing anything and everything that I can possibly do to be skinny. Or thinking that, that was the thing to be, is to be skinny. I was skinny fat, if you will. And I had starved myself for probably 2 years prior to Plexus. And I starved myself down to about 103 pounds. At the time, my dad was passing away. And I remember him he was so mortified and so broken in where he was in his life. And I know that I looked like I really honestly belonged right next to him. I looked terrible. And I didn't know anything about Plexus. I had never heard about it. My sister mentioned it a few times, but it wasn't anything that really interested me at all. And when I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw a post that she made, and it said Plexus Slim. She had never really said the word slim to me. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, slim, right? Like I can stop what I'm doing, because I had gotten myself addicted to Adderall, and I kept thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I can get off of this, and I can, not gain any weight. Well, first and foremost, I give all credit and all glory to God as far as me being delivered from my eating disorder. But I believe that God used Plexus as a tool for me, because through that, I actually gained 25 pounds with Plexus. And for somebody with that type of mentality that I've carried really my whole entire life, even the word healthy to me was almost a swear word. And, I didn't even know how to process that into my mind. When I started gaining weight, but I started to like what I saw, and I started to like the changes that were happening in my body, and started to see the changes in my body. I was 3 pots of coffee a day, 0 water, and I was that girl that would not poop. I would not go to the bathroom 7 to 10 days, and I thought it was normal, because the group of the people that I, pretty much hung around with, we would always laugh like, oh my gosh, I haven't gone in a long time either. So it was almost like everybody around me was the same. So you just think that is the norm, and realizing that obviously that's not the norm. And so, my biggest testimony with that would be total gut health, number one. It totally got my whole entire gut back in order, and it really, really got me to a healthy state. And that's why I have such a boldness and such a passion. I mean, I think about, and I know I'm going to get off subject a little bit, but like, I just can stand so boldly. Like, I know you can stand so boldly with your testimony, with the business end of it. I can stand so boldly, like I could stand with Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, with what He's done in me, to me, for me, and through me. Like, I can stand that boldly with what Plexus has done in myself and in my family, for my all over-round health. So, and I know that there's probably a lot of team members, which I like this, that I'm on my phone. It can only see me and you. So I have no idea who's on, praise God, because that'd be probably really intimidating. But I'm hoping that there's a lot of team members on there that can really they just know my story. And so,
yeah. Well, and Kelly was so nervous to come on this call, but you are so, to me, you come across as so confident and funny and sure of yourself. And so it really surprised me that you were even nervous to come on this call, because to me, you don't seem like you would be. But I know a lot of us leaders, people think that we don't have any weaknesses. And that's one thing that is so not true. I mean, I went live today on my wall, and I was super nervous to go live. You've got people from high school, people that you haven't talked to in years, and you see their name pop up and you're like, oh, I don't know that I want them to see me,
Yeah.
So people, who are doing these lives, they're super nervous, but they need to know that we're all like that. We're all human, and we all are nervous about things. But like you talked about stretching yourself today when we talked on the phone, that's like the most important thing in this business, is to stretch yourself to the next level.
Yeah. It's funny, because we do team motivating calls, every or Monday through Friday at 7:30. And I have yet to lead one of those calls. And it's out of, and people sometimes they'll look at me, and I think that a lot of it has to do with some of the things is vulnerable and whatever is that I am on Facebook. But I think what it is, when you and I were talking, it's just, I feel like I don't have a lot to share when it comes to this. Like, I could be like wham, wham, wham when it comes to the products, or like I said about Jesus, but when it comes to like business tips, like, I'm not very business orientated, man. I mean, my whole life, dude, is like total structure, except when it comes to my business. Like, sometimes it just like when I had 9 kids in this house, I could be like, wham, you haven't showered in 3 days. You have a test tomorrow. I could be like, I was like all over the page, and all glory to God. But when it comes to my business, it's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I know what I'm doing, but I don't feel like I have huge assets to share. So that's why this was so intimidating to me. And how I've fallen through the cracks is because you've asked me before, and it's always an excuse here or is an excuse there, and this is a place that God is really, really taking me. He's stretching me. He's stretching me in an area where, okay, I can walk, and I'm going to just use an example. I went into, we were up in East Tawas over the 4th of July. And I walked into the store, and I met this lady. She's behind the counter. And I have that type of boldness and that type of confidence to be able to be like, just, oh my gosh, whatever it is that I said to her. And I'm like, here, take my phone, put your name in here, and friend request her. Where some people maybe don't have that boldness, and that's okay. But you might have the boldness to be able to get on this call. So we all struggle in different areas, and this just happens to be one of them. I just don't feel like I have a lot of value to bring, which is just a lie from the enemy, because I know that I do, but it's stepping out of that box. It's stepping out of that comfort zone, because it actually feels good to be on this call. It really does. And it's just flowing, and it feels great. So, if you can just step out of that, it's just good. So.
Right. Well, first of all, I think one thing we all need to realize is that everyone has something to give. Whatever that is. I mean, even if it's just that you're sharing that you're nervous, and then other people can relate to that. And, the fact that you're stretching yourself as a senior Ruby tells us that you can get to senior Ruby without having to get out of your comfort zone when it comes to things that you're uncomfortable with, which is great, but we always need to be growing. And I think that that's what's so important for us to learn, is that, network marketing and Plexus is what we always say, the jewels and the diamonds, we always say, network marketing is self-growth with a paycheck.
Oh my gosh. And I have grown so much.
Every single leader will tell you that is the biggest change in our life, is the person that we've become, the inner being that we didn't know was within us, and we're able to help other people realize what they have within them.
Oh my gosh, totally. I love to motivate. I love to speak into people's lives. And this is just really, honestly, Plexus has just been a platform. When we do these morning calls, I've chimed in a few times. Taryn usually runs them, and Kelly and I are going to be stretching out of our comfort zone. If she's on the call, we're going to start doing those calls in the morning, because Kelly's got a lot to offer, a ton to offer. But something that, at times when I'll chime in there, and something that I have told them is that, not to follow in my footsteps as far as personal growth. I've watched and heard so many people at different levels say that they wish they would have started personal growth in some area, if that weakness. Like, I didn't need I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't need personal growth and being bold, but there's some things that I really didn't need growth in, maybe more sharpening, where I needed growth in certain areas. And it was really self-development and my leadership skills. And so if you can start that at silver and realizing that even at silver, you are a leader, even when you're not silver, you're still a leader. And it's so important. Self-development and self-growth is so important. And I don't know if you heard, our team, we've been posting quite a bit about the Jill Renfro, the sprint series. And the very first one that she did was self-reflection. And, you know, I guess my first business tip, if you will, would be doing that whole self-reflection. And it's hard. It is so hard to sit back and really self-reflect on you as a person, not just in your business, but you as a mom, you as a wife, you as a friend, you as a Christian, you, whatever area it is in your life, to sit back and really, really self-reflect. And, you know, on one of the calls, Taryn had said, you know, because we had all talked about not really working our business while we were gone on vacation, and how it really slacked because everybody was gone, everybody's away from it. And she was like, you know, put a little number every single day as to what you gave to your business. And that's a hard number some days to seriously put down on a piece of paper. Like if I sit back and I am 150% honest, the last 3 days of packing, what I've given to my business, and shame on me, is like a 1. Because my mind has been focused somewhere else. Does that mean I have to do Plexus all day long? Absolutely not. But I didn't even do my IPA. You know, if you aren't sitting down and you are not reaching out, you've got to be reaching out and making new friends, right? Because if you're not doing that, I have nobody to blame but myself for that big old fat goose egg that I have sitting in the corner of my day, right?
Yeah.
So self-reflection is so huge.
Okay, so, and then a lot of people are going to be asking about the Jill Renfro thing that you said. So can you put that information in the Rocking Group when we put the...
Oh, yeah.
Because I haven't heard of it. So
oh my gosh,
people are going to want to know about that.
It is. I'm telling you right now, this series that she did, she just put the 6th one out today. She was doing them every Wednesday, and she just put the 6th one out today. It is probably far the absolute best series ever that I've ever heard. And something else that I just found the other day was John Maxwell. He just came out with a leadership thing, and it's a confidence, and I'll post that in there too. And you know, he talks a lot about confidence and courage, and that has to be unlocked from within. Nobody can unlock that on the outside. Like it took courage for me to get on here. I told you yesterday, no, I can't do the call. I made every excuse in the book. And then the call this morning smacked me in the face, and it was like, I'm never going to grow and to be the leader that my team needs, or even that I need to be, that God's created me to be, if I do not step out of the stinking looking box. So, you know, self-development and self-reflection, so huge. So I'll post both of those in the Rocking Group.
Yeah, and I love that, what you said about giving yourself a number for that day. I think it's important to also say that just like I got a message from one of my team members today that said, what do you suggest I do? Because the person was gold and about to be senior gold. And they had a lot of things that are pulling them at different directions. Their team's growing. And she said, how do I get in everything that I need to get in? And, you know, I face that every day. And I face fears every day, and I feel overwhelmed sometimes. But I feel like the best advice to that, whether, like you said, you're just starting out and you have one person, or whether you're a diamond, time blocking is so huge. And I know you said you're not super organized, but you did talk earlier that you have a whiteboard of people that you want to keep in contact with, and relationships that you're building in your level ones and all that. We're going to talk about relationship building in just a second. But I think time blocking is one of the most important things, because we talk about self-growth, and I see different things all the time. I see people that are growing in their self-development, but yet they're not doing their IPAs. And then I see people that are doing their IPAs, but they're not doing self-development. And the only way to fit everything in when you're doing this business, either part-time or full-time, is to time block those times. Because if you don't time block and specifically say what you're going to do during that time, it won't get done. The thing you like the best will be what gets done. So if you're a motivator and you're a leader, then you're going to be motivating and leading your team. If you're a self-development junkie, you're going to listen to yourself. And I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to everyone else, because I am the same way. I have to make sure that I'm time blocking and saying, okay, I'm going to work these hours. During this time, my least favorite thing to do is this. So I'm going to do that first, and I'm going to reach out, whatever I'm going to do during that time. I'm going to figure out what my posts are going to be for the day. And I want to talk to you about that too, what you post. But, the time blocking thing is probably the best advice that any leader can give to people, because whatever business you're in, if you don't time block, you're not going to get those things done that really actually build your business. And you're not going to get that self-development in if you're not time blocking your self-development. So there's a lot of facets to Plexus, and there's a lot of things that we need to stay on top of. They don't take a lot of time, but if you don't do each one of those, if you're not motivating your team, if you're not building relationships, if you're not expanding your circle, if you're not commenting on people's stuff, if you're not doing self-development, if you're not reaching out, if you're not doing these things that don't take a lot of time in and of themselves, if you're not doing all these things, your business isn't going to be balanced. And so I think that you really have to time block, and that's the most important piece of advice, I think. So I want to ask you, you always have such high PV. You always have a lot of customers. That's probably the first thing we need to talk about is, how do you get those customers? What do you post on Facebook to draw people in, and how do you reach out to people?
Well, on Facebook, I am very, very, very vulnerable. I think that might be a way that might attract people more to me. I'm just guessing. I don't know. As far as getting customers, it's been the consistency of my posting, I believe, because I feel like there's times now that I'm at a place in my business where people know that I'm committed, that these products work. Sometimes I feel like it's redundant that I'm continually saying the same thing over and over and over. But sometimes it's a new audience, or I'm reaching new people, but it's people. A lot of people are starting to reach out to me, but they're doing that because they see the passion and, in my belief, not only in the products, but also in the business opportunity. And, I do a lot of one-on-ones. I am very relational. My calendar is always full. I try and meet people at least 3 or 4 or 5 days a week. Sometimes it doesn't always have to be for long periods of time, but my calendar, we talk about that a lot. My calendar is always full, and it's the one-on-one. And it's not even, going out and talking about Plexus. A lot of times we think that, if we reach out to somebody, when I cold message somebody, it has never worked for me. I don't cold message people per se about Plexus. Some people do, and I'm not saying that is a bad thing. It doesn't work for me. Every time it has, I've been shut down, which is okay. No's are okay, and I get it. I've had more no's, obviously, than I've had yeses. But what works best for me personally has always been making that cold message something personable. Hey, let's do lunch. Hey, I miss you. Hey, great profile picture. I don't care what it is. It's always been personable, and, trying my best to do face-to-face with somebody. And, if I get shot down, no, I can't do that day, and they're not coming back, like with the recipient, like, oh, this day will work for me. I'm the one who's saying, hey, let's do this. As far as, I'm always wishing people a happy birthday on Facebook. So that in itself is building a relationship. when my birthday last year, I probably had 300 birthday wishes. And I took the time to personally voice message through Messenger, personally voice message every single person and said, thank you for taking the time out just to wish me a happy birthday. That was just when people did it for me for my anniversary. It's just building a relationship, because really, honestly, who does that? Not a lot of people. They're going to remember me. I'm always trying to do something so that people remember me. My husband's owned a business for, oh my gosh, probably 28 years. I think I've said 25 years for the past 3 years. So I think 28 years, somewhere in there. I don't know. And very successful business. And he would always say to me, and I never understood, because I didn't even know what network marketing was. And I'd never been approached with it before. And he would always say to me, it doesn't matter who you know, it's who knows you. Like that never sat with me. I never understood it. But you know what? That is the truth. So when they talk about, getting your niche out there on Facebook, people, what do people know about you? Yeah, people know that I am the plexus, the crazy plexus girl or whatever, but people know that I love Jesus. They know that I love my family. They know that I'm vulnerable. They know that I'm dorky. I was at my girlfriend's house today. She's like, dude, I do not know how you post some of those stinking ugly pictures of yourself. I'm like, what do I care? I don't care, right? They're fun. They're funny, but people remember that, don't they? And so to me, that also is building a relationship. Sometimes it's just sending somebody a private message if they're having a hard time. Hey, I'm praying for you, praying for your family. So it's just, to me, it's always gone back to the relationship end. And if people trust you and they have that relationship, that's where, right, that they're going to come. And to me, that's just how my PV stays where it does.
And being real, I think, is the key to that. Tell us what you were telling me today about how you recently expanded your circle with the other grandmas.
Oh, okay. So while I was up north, like I said, I really didn't work my business a whole lot. And one morning I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I have got to start broadening my network. I have got to do something to work my business. Like I haven't friend requested anybody. I haven't done anything. And, so I got into this grandma's group and young grandma's group. And I just made a personable message. And I said, hi, my name is Kelly. I'm new to the group. I'm a mother of 7. I gave them the ages of them. I talked about my boyfriend and, put in parentheses that he's my grandson. How much I love being a grandma, and I love to make new relationships and meet new people. Boom. I sent it. And I think I probably sent out 100 probably within those 4 or 5 days that I was there. I mean, every time I thought about it, boom, I just would copy and paste. And if I wasn't sometimes like you can't send a friend request, it's blocked. I would just, obviously, just always change their name and then put in, I wasn't able to send you a friend request. So, I would love to be friends with you. Send me one. I honestly am still it's showing that, that they're still coming through. I don't think I've been rejected one time. And then it's just building that relationship, and it's broadened my network immensely to where, I'm honestly, I've made friends. I've really genuinely made friends. I have this one woman who opened up to me out of nowhere. So it's just, I ain't never stinking mentioned plexus to her, and I probably never will. But you know what? I think she just needed to somebody, and I happen to be that person. And if you can just be there for somebody, and it's just building that relationship. If plexus comes up, good, praise God, she'll bring it up. I won't. So.
Well, if you're building, my dogs are about to bark. If you're building that relationship, plexus will come up eventually, because
totally.
something will have that conversation, or they'll see one of your posts and they'll ask you about it. But because plexus is such a big part of your life, it will come up somehow, some way eventually. Mm-hmm. And they'll give you a reason to bring it up, or they'll ask you about it. And so I think that's key. I also think that what you said before about what you're posting is really good, because I've heard a lot of people, leaders, say, not to post. When you're posting, don't direct your post at people that have been your friend for 5 or 10 years. If you've been in plexus a while, always pretend like what you're posting is for your new friends. You're getting new friends all the time. You can't assume that everyone that's watching you is going to know your story. In fact, like today I was thinking, this is a good time. I need to go and post my story again, because I've got a lot of new Facebook friends that haven't ever seen my story. It's something we need to remind ourselves of, because we think that all we're picturing is the people we think are following us. You don't think about all the people that maybe have never seen your stuff before. We're always talking about commenting, messaging people to where they're seeing your stuff. And just like today, I saw somebody that I went to high school with, and I saw him post, it randomly popped up. I never see his stuff, but it randomly popped up. I think a lot of people commented on his thing because he was at the beach and it just popped up. And so I liked his picture and I commented, nice, that looks nice. He came over to my wall and saw my profile picture and liked it. So that reminded him that I was there. So this guy probably doesn't follow me. He probably doesn't know a lot about Plexus. And just using him as an example, there's probably hundreds and hundreds of people like that you're friending all the time, or older friends that haven't seen your stuff. Mm-hmm. And so when we're posting, we need to keep that in mind, that we have to keep our stuff fresh. We can't just post to the people that are already watching us. We have to keep posting that new stuff, the stuff about us that people may not already know. We may think, oh, well, they've seen all of my Facebook friends know that I do Plexus. They already know my story. They already know that I'm this, that I'm doing that. But a lot of them don't. And I think every post that we do about Plexus, for sure, has to be to that new person that just started watching you, or that new person that just friended you.
Right.
Sure that everyone sees your story, because I go back to when I first did Plexus, started and joined. That's what I was posting, my excitement of starting something new. And so I think we need to keep that fresh sense of excitement out there. Don't worry about the people that have been watching you for 3 or 4 years, however long you've been doing it, because obviously they're either going to do it or they're not. Chances are they're not been watching you for that long. They're not going to. They might, but it's less of a chance than a newer person would. So always gear your posts towards your new friends or people that haven't seen your stuff in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's...
Yeah, I never thought of that. I really never thought of that. It's a really good tip. I never thought of that.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of leaders talk about that. So obviously you're really good at relationships because you have a lot of really active level ones. We talked about that. You've sponsored 86 people into the business, and more than half of those are active, which is a big thing. And so what would you say is what would you say is the key to that, the keeping your level ones active?
Oh my goodness. Well, I would say I know a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot. Probably about, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20. Well, yeah, probably 15. Oh my, wait a minute, no, my level ones. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I would just say probably just the relationship end of it. I mean, I have my we all have our runners, right? I mean, I have my runners, and and we're always in contact. And some people that just ordered for wholesale saw great results with the products, and they obviously keep on ordering. But I check in on my ambassadors. I have a whiteboard that anytime that I sign, whether it be a new customer or a new ambassador, I have their name on my whiteboard, and if it's a new ambassador, I'm checking in with them continuously, probably for the first couple of months, just to see, maybe once a week. I mean, and it can be, it's a lot of work. I mean, you have to be intentional with it. You just seriously have got to be intentional with it, just checking in. And then I would say after, just to see if they had any questions or whatever. And then after that, it's just, sometimes I'll just check in, I don't know, maybe every couple months or every month or so. I spread it out after that, and just checking in, just seeing how things are going with the products. If we have something new, or if there's a special, hey, did you see the special? Or, really sometimes it's just even going, oh my gosh, going into my back office, checking out my level ones and going, oh my gosh, I haven't, been in touch with her for a little while. It's been a month or it's been 2 months, and going under a profile thing and just maybe even finding a picture, being like, oh my gosh, you look hot, you look beautiful in this picture, or whatever, just to keep that communication just to keep that communication going. And I've even done that with, I've gotten a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, probably about 5 or 6, well, it's a lot, 5 or 6 ambassadors that started ordering again by sending them, information on the new Slim, and that was by staying in relationship with them, whether it be liking, commenting, sending messages, even when they weren't ambassadors. So it's not like, they're not ordering, they're not this, they're writing them off. It's not. It's been staying in that relationship. And you hear that word so much, intentional. You've got this whole business. You've got to be intentional. I mean, you have to be intentional with your kids. You got to be intentional with your spouse. You got to be intentional with your relationship with the Lord. You got to be intentional. If I'm not intentional, even getting up in the morning and making Jesus my first, Jesus who come 7, 8 o'clock. It's like, oh my gosh, I got this, I got that. And if I'm not taking that time out and being intentional, you might as well forget it. Yeah. And that same thing with the business.
Yeah.
And relationships.
I think the most important thing to keeping your level 1s active is to making sure that you're treating them like customers, especially at the very beginning, making sure they have that success with the products right off the bat. I think so many times we think, oh, well, they joined, so they have access to everything I have. No, they're not going to do all that. Some people don't even open their success kit. And so we need to make sure that they're having success with their products. They need to know that there might be die-off symptoms. They need to know that they can come to you if they have a question about the products. They need to be directed to where they need to go if they have product questions. So really making sure that, and I know you've done that, making sure that you get them successful right off at the beginning, like you said, keeping in contact a lot, especially at the beginning, get them successful on their products. Once you know they're successful on the products, then at that point, just build a relationship so that they can see you and they're staying in contact with you.
Yeah, and I think too, when you've got a new customer, if you've got a new ambassador, and like I've had a couple just recently that were like, oh my gosh, they were having die-off symptoms, and just from the new Slim. And for myself, I've been on Plexus for 3.5 years. I never went through anything, nothing, dude. I was like 8 days, 10 days onto that thing, and we're in Vegas, and it's like, oh yeah, this ain't good. Bad dull headache, going to the bathroom more than I really needed to in Vegas, right? Yeah. And it's these people, their messages are like, it's not acting surprised. It's not being like, oh my gosh, you're what? Or no, it's, oh, embrace it. And it's just being bold. Oh, embrace it. It's just getting the crap out of you that's making you feel the way that you feel. And it's going back that boldly to where they're like, oh, okay, well, it didn't shock her. Yeah. Right? So when you've got that boldness, so it's really, it's the self-development, even with the products, and really knowing and reading and learning.
And communication is huge. So
yeah.
So okay, that is so awesome, Kelly. I'm so glad that you shared your tips with us. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.
Okay.
And so if you'd like to stay on, you can. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and stop the recording.